I'm Rose and welcome to another art project video, art studio, vlog. I don't even know, it's like a combination of everything. But this is my second art project of winter 2023. I'm not going to go too into detail because I do explain it in a couple of minutes, but pretty much I got my canvas. I think it's 1 by 2 feet, possibly 2 by 4. And I'm just starting off by gessoing it. I decided I wanted to have a nice like colored base, so I added a little bit of neon blue and a dark green into my gesso, and that created a really pretty like minty color. I'm not even sure what the color is, but it's pretty, so yay. And that's pretty much what I did here, just getting started. And then I was still trying to figure out what I even wanted to paint on this. I honestly had no clue. I think I had this sitting on my floor just gessoed for like a good week before I actually figured out what I was going to be doing to it. So let's get into it. Hello! So it is Thursday, February 9th, and I am officially starting my I need to go back to bed. I am finally doing project number 2. I'm finally starting it. I want to start today because I want to have exactly 3 weeks of working on this, meaning today, next week, reading week, and then the class that it's actually due. So my project is supposed to be based on time, and I thought it would be cool to take time, as in every single day I will work a little bit on this painting. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what the colors or the medium or whatever, but it will be on this canvas. And of course I will be documenting, filming the entire process. So day 1, number 1, I'm in a sci art class. Oh my god, English. I'm in a sci art class this semester, and I have spent the last couple of days working on my journal. And I really, really want to paint. I don't even know what this is. It could be a cell, it could be a neuron, it could be an atom, I don't freaking know what it is. An astrocyte? No clue. But it's this one right here. I want to paint that on my canvas. And that's how I'm going to start my canvas today, because that is what's currently in my head. And I also have water in my head, so I may or may not do some spaces where I kind of practice like water techniques, maybe bubbles or something, I don't know. But today my thing is doing astrocyte. Yeah, anyways, this is my canvas. I guess let's get started. Okay, so to start, I'm gonna say it right now, I jump between different spaces to work on this painting. Everywhere from my table to my floor to the studio that is in my building to the studio that is on campus. So you'll be seeing me move around a lot. But I got my little table with all my art supplies set up to hold my tripod, so I'm able to film. And the first thing I did was went in and started doing the little dots, which are in the, I believe it's the amaglasite. And then I started drawing out all the little like veins, neurons, whatever they are. I honestly don't know the terms at all. And that probably took me like a good 20-30 minutes to do. I ended up being a little bit late to class, but that's okay because I already emailed the professor saying that I would be late. And yeah, I just went in working on that, trying to add some fun colors to it. And that's pretty much it. Location change number 1. I was sitting on the floor just working on this next to my friend because I did not feel like trying to deal with a easel. But as I was looking at this, I realized it kind of looked like a plant. So I started adding flowers on the little dots that I did. And then from the flowers, I was like, hey, this needs vines. Veins, vines, they go together, whatever. So I also mixed in some green, and off camera, because I completely forgot to film, I went in and added in green and like dark green, light green, a little bit of blue and yellow. And location change again, I set up my little blanket, paint blanket, whatever it is, on my kitchen floor and got started working on my canvas again. Okay, so it is now Saturday. Don't ask me what day, because I have absolutely no idea. And I started doing this, I was working on this yesterday, and I started adding green because I was like, there's flowers, there needs to be vines, it needs to be green. So that's what I started doing. And then I was like, this needs to be the background now. I kind of want to just cover the entire thing with vines and flowers. And that's just going to be the entire background. And then I've been watching like little techniques and stuff on like Pinterest. And there's one I saw for water where all you do is like little shapes and then you fill it in and then you do more shapes and fill it in and then you do more shapes and you fill it in and it looks like water. And I really want to do that over top of that. And then figure out where I go from there. Okay, so I had to take a few days off from working on this just because of finals and studying and whatever. I did like a full 24-hour study session where I woke up at freaking like 6 a.m. What was it? No, wait. Okay, I started studying at 2 p.m. and then I stayed up until 6 a.m. had like a 2-hour nap, and then immediately started studying again. And then had my exam at like 2:30. So I studied for like 24 hours from 2 to 2 with like a 2-hour break where I slept. And that was it. So I took a few days off for that. And now we're back again. There hasn't been much change. Oh my god. I thought I would do this quicker, but I always forget how like long stuff takes to dry. Still going with the vines and the flowers. At this point, I was kind of done with this idea, but I also still wanted to finish the idea. So it was kind of a back and forth of like, do I keep going? Do I stop? Do I work on something else? Like, what do I do? Ultimately, I decided just to finish the flowers. That's weird. Then I moved to the building studio just so I had a better like place to work on this stuff. So you can probably see in the background, there's a couple of dots that are still like empty of flowers. I honestly was just done doing the flowers at that point, and had no intention of continuing with it. So I changed ideas to do the water that I was thinking about. I'd been thinking about doing this water for like 3 days at this point. So I finally went in just with a marker, realized that was way too light. And ended up getting some paint out and going over that with the paint. It started looking really cool, and then it got so messed up. So yeah, now I'm adding the second layer on top, and this is where it starts getting a little bit messy. The lines were a lot thicker than they should have been. I should have kept them a lot thinner, but I wasn't really thinking about that at the point. And yeah, it kind of started going downhill from here with this idea. Had I cut the lines thinner, I think it would have turned out really cool, but at this point it was just looking so messy. But of course I continued because I've been thinking about this idea for so long, and I didn't realize it looked messy until after I'd finished. The water ended up taking me a long time, but I just kept going with this idea because I honestly wasn't sure what else to do at this point. I was still trying to come up with ideas. I had a few things running around in my head, but I couldn't like differentiate between what were ideas I wanted on the canvas and what were just ideas that were being influenced by what my friends were doing or what I was seeing on Pinterest or whatever. At some point, I decided I wanted to do a moon, which is the big pink ball, but I'm not sure how it happened, but this big pink ball ended up looking more like a bubble, so I just kind of went with the idea and started doing bubbles all over the place. And then after doing the bubbles, I was like, this needs more. And I am more of a graphite and charcoal artist than I am painting. So I decided to do some cute little like nature themed sketches inside of the bubbles, just to kind of stick with the whole nature theme that I had going on with the canvas. So this one is just birds, and I'm gonna be honest, these took way longer than they should have. I even tried doing it off camera and had to erase it. But I got a bunch of pictures off of Pinterest of just some cute little like bugs and birds and flowers. And yeah, I just kind of went off of that and sketched it into some of the bubbles. So coming back to the water, as you can see, it looks really messy, and I honestly was not loving it. But as I was looking at it, I realized it kind of looked like little caves. So I decided I wanted to go with that idea, except painting actual caves would have taken a long time and way more effort and patience than I was willing to do. So instead, I just decided to fill in a couple of the holes with different colors that I had used on the canvas. They're slightly darker colors than what it was actually used, but that is because I have two of those palettes and I accidentally grabbed the wrong one and was like, hey, I'm just gonna go with it. So it's a dark red, a very, very dark blue, and I just filled in a couple of random little holes and circles. Some of them I filled in like the whole thing, others I just filled in half or whatever. I decided I'm gonna title this My Brain Over the Course of Any Given Time, and I know that's long, but also it's true. So I started with the neuron, and then the neuron turned into flowers with vines, and then the flowers with vines turned into swirls, and then I wanted water, although it doesn't look like water, and then I wanted a moon, but the moon looked like bubbles, so then I added bubbles, and then I started drawing little like creatures inside of the bubbles, and then I looked back to the water and I don't like how the water looks, so then I started adding like filling in the holes, and I was gonna use the colors that I used for the flowers, but I opened the wrong container and it was like this blue and this red and whatever, so I was like, okay, I'll just go with it. And I kind of want to do like ants or something crawling in the little holes, but then I also want to do a tree, but then I still want to do my mosaic, and so there I am right now. I kind of want to go back with the flowers and just do like a giant flower right here. And this is my brain. So now I'm doing the big flower. I tried to recreate the same flowers that I had made on the vines in like the first part of this. I don't think I nailed it, but I did try and do a similar technique so that it at least resembled it a little bit. But ultimately I think it just looks like a big swirl, but that's okay because I like it and it kind of looks cool. And I can't remember if I did it on camera or off, but I did go through and add a little bit of yellows and I think a little bit of like oranges and greens and stuff just to make the flower pop from the water a little bit more. Also, sorry about the horrible angles. I kept forgetting to bring my tripod back down to the studio with me, so I ended up just putting my phone on top of a shelf with the camera like hanging off a little bit. So yeah. It's, you know what, considering where I have the camera, it looks pretty decent. and I wanted to add something to the big bubble as well, just because it was a very big blank space on this canvas. So I decided to do a little bottle with a flower because painting and drawing glass is honestly kind of fun if you know how to do it. So I went through and I used all the different colors that I had used in this painting for the reflection of the glass. And then I created a little orange, whatever, pinkish flower in the middle there, kind of contrasting the giant flower that I had at the one side, but also to bring out a little bit more of the orange because I didn't want to have pink on top of pink. And yeah. And finally, on this painting, last semester I had painted this giant like mosaic type landscape, and it was honestly, it was a lot, but it was also really fun and a style that I'm kind of tempted to continue exploring. So based on that, I decided to bring it back into this painting, but I did it very, very lightly. I didn't want it to be too big of a thing, but I also really enjoyed that idea. So I went through some very pale green, slowly darkening it as I got like closer to the edge of the canvas. And yeah, I literally just did a whole bunch of mountains, and I probably should have let it dry in between layers, but I am so impatient, and so I did not. And it got very, very mixed up, but I think it ended up looking kind of okay. Keyword on kind of. Because I had these blotches of green, I kind of wanted to add more to it and decided to add water around the mountains, like near the bottoms. But because of where I put the blue, I thought it would look weird if I didn't continue with the blue edges. So I went through, and any random little like shapes, I went around and I filled it up with some blue. It ended up being a little bit of a like gradient type blue, but I think that turned out looking really nice compared to like had it just been a flat blue. And then I went around through the entire canvas, adding these little spaces of the blue, kind of in representation of last year when I had like a weird blue obsession. No matter what I did, no matter what the painting was, even if I started by using yellow or pink, the end result, the end painting, always ended up being blue. I still don't know how I did it, but somehow I did. So I thought I would kind of pay tribute to that because I feel I am finally leaving my blue era. And I believe that is it. So if you enjoyed this video, this painting, whatever, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I do post 3 times a week. Mondays, Artsy Tuesdays, which are just my art videos like this one, as well as Fridays and the occasional Sunday vlog. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!